Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is the progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. Remember, you can also send me a tweet to EGBERTOWILLIES. That is, at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is politics done right.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Willies, your host. Thank you so kindly for being a part of the show. We are going to have a great show for you today. Again, we're going to be talking about the Democratic Party again. I know, please don't get bored with this subject, but this is a serious subject that only you can do something about, because it is evident that those who need to be doing something about this subject aren't doing something about this subject. And it was a wonderful thing seeing a very harsh critique that I'm going to play for you guys a little bit later from El Señor Ralph Nader. I know Democrats hate Ralph Nader. After all, Ralph Nader cost Al Gore the election in Florida because of the 74,000 or some amount of votes that it went to Ralph Nader instead of going to Gore. That is, of course, making the assumption that those particular votes that went for Nader would have gone for Gore. Nader came on and made the case why, look, folks, stop doing that. Don't do that. Don't make that assumption. But before we get started, I have to do what I always do. I ask you guys to please go ahead right now. First thing before we even get started is to go ahead and share this post. I beg. Please go ahead and share this post. Welcome aboard, Bruce. Welcome aboard, Michael Rudnan. Welcome aboard, Jose Gamboa. Gamboa is a town in Panama, right by the Chagres River that we had. Gamboa, we loved that town. Anyhow, folks, please, again, if you're just joining us, go ahead and share this show right away, please, on your Facebook page, on your Facebook wall, on your Twitter, on your Tumblr, on your Instagram. We need to get people watching this stuff. We need to get progressives up to speed to what is happening. And it is serious, folks. Everybody sits down there and they're waiting on that blue wave. They're waiting on that blue wave. You know, they have their surfboards. They're out there crawling to the surf. The way it looks, it's like I said back in February, both on my blog, egbertowillies.com, and at Daily Coast on the front page. I wrote a post, and that's a post that today, again, will be the blog of the week, because I tell you, after writing that, I was slaughtered. They slaughtered. Oh, pessimists. What kind of a scientific mind do you have? Can't you read the polls? Look at where Trump is. Look at all these things. Are you crazy? Those are the things I heard. But all along, the thing about it is, one of the things political activists and political pundits and all these folks involved in politics have to do is remember that polls are snapshots in time, but most importantly, look at trends, look at what people are doing, look at what your politicians are doing, etc., etc., etc. And if you don't do that, what happens is you get caught, just like the turtle caught the tortoise, just like we've lost many elections we should have won. And the other bad thing is coming to the wrong conclusions. Like, even if we take a look at the Hillary Clinton, Trump's electoral college win, many of us continuously want to blame Russia for being involved in our elections. We want to blame several things. Look, the Russian involvement cost the election. That's a possibility that under Hillary Clinton staying exactly where she is, that could have been the difference. There are a lot of things that could be the difference. But could her campaigning in Michigan make a difference? Could her accepting what Trump accepted from Facebook made a difference? Remember, Facebook offered to put a man in each of their social media departments. Clinton said no. Trump said yes. And you know what? More than likely that information also went to the Russians to assist them in helping to promote the messages that brought him just enough votes in Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Iowa to win this thing. So It is easy to just say, oh, the Russian caused it, or to say back in 2000 that Ralph Nader caused it. Ralph Nader said something that is very important. So anyhow, what is the name of the show today? The title of the show, before I go to that, I have to make my very first ask at the beginning of the show. I want to remind everybody that this is a political show, a independent media show. We are independent media on the progressive side. So I ask you to go to patreon.com/politicsdoneright. If you're watching this on Facebook Live, you can click on it directly and go ahead and become a member. Go ahead and subscribe to our program, because it is essential that we keep this going if we're to move forward. Okay, that's the first pitch of the day. We'll have one in the middle and one at the end. Anyhow, folks, here's the deal. The title of the program today is The Democratic Party Better Heed Ralph Nader's Red Alert. Before I go any further, I want to tell you guys that I also posted a blog on both on my site, egbertowillies.com, as well as on Daily Kos, with not with this program, but a blog post that had the video of what Ralph Nader had to say. And I posted it probably about 40 minutes ago or so, and I got a whole lot of, I got just so far 11 likes, not likes. We call them at Daily Kos. We call them, I don't remember, something like it's something like a like on Facebook, but what it means is we like this. Anyhow, I got 11 of those and 50-something messages. Usually I would see sort of those more close in contact. But what are people complaining about? We hate Ralph Nader. We will never forgive Ralph Nader. Ralph Nader caused us the election in 2000 with Al Gore. Again, these are steadfast Democrats that refuse to understand the picture. One, when Gore was running, he completely ignored Bill Clinton's record. He completely ignored Bill Clinton, and Bill Clinton, no matter what you think about him, would have been an asset to Gore. But no, the Republicans played a smart move. Why don't you bring in Clinton? And if you bring in Clinton, we're going to clean your clock. And he bought it. And they sat back and laughed, because they know he had a favorability rating that was darn high then as well, and would have helped. So, I mean, Democrats continue to either intimidate themselves, be intimidated, be timid, not being aggressive enough, and not coming out with the policies that Americans are wanting. And therefore, Americans stay with the devil they know, as opposed to someone that is timid and never go out there and fight hard for them. So they figure, let's go with the guys that are going to fight hard and get their way. If we can placate those guys that are going to win, why not be with them? Anyhow, title of show. The Democratic Party better heed Ralph Nader's message. Subtitle, Ralph Nader hit the nail on the head. If you can't beat an evil and corrupt and ignorant party, you have a serious problem. And that is so true. If you can't beat this party, if you can't beat a president like this, after you went through it in 2016 and saw the flaws of your way, and you still can't do it, you know what? I may have to adapt to the policy of several friends who tell me, Egberto, give up. Let's start moving the ball. Let's really, really work hard towards yet another party. Because, folks, and that's not what I want. I believe in the platform of this party. The platform is more than just egalitarian. The platform is real. But when we have even the leaders of the party, Steny Hoyer, coming out against Levi in what is his name? Levi Tilleman in Ohio, and Laura Mosier here in Houston, we got a problem. When you try to put plutocrats in office instead of what the people want, of course they're going to be disillusioned. And that is what happened. So anyhow, I will continue to hammer this message, hoping that sensible Democratic leaders start listening. One of the problems is many of the older Democratic establishment leaders are stuck in their ways as the country moves on. They better heed Ralph Nader's red alert. Folks, this thing is slipping away. It has not yet slipped, or rather, it has slipped. It has not yet gone away. You're waiting for that blue wave. Right now, we're lucky for a trickle. We're lucky if we get a trickle, all things being equal, all things staying as it is today. I'm not trying to be scaremongering you folks. I'm trying to be a realist, and I'm trying to tell folks to take their heads out of the sand, because that is where it's at. After I posted that at Daily Kos, it was embarrassing to see some of the messages, some of the words that I'm hearing at the largest liberal progressive site in the country. And these guys are complaining because the blog contained Ralph Nader. All they could see, or I'm talking about a large percentage, could see Ralph Nader cost us the election. I'll never forgive him. And they see nothing else. They see nothing else. They don't see the value in listening to what he's saying. And what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to play what he said, and you guys tell me what you think. And don't forget, this is a call-in show, 646-716-5812, 646-716-5812. I would love to hear from some of you folks. I'd love to hear from some of you. I know you're on Facebook Live, and the idea is to just kind of absorb and write the messages down there. But, man, it would be good for some of you to call in and make your point. We can take 50 calls at the same time. Okay, here we go.
I think the Democrat Party should take the third-party agenda away from it. They should have a living wage, just crack down on corporate crime, full Medicare for all. What do they expect to do? They have the third party supposed to help them? A democracy is only democracy if it has competitive elections, contested election, not a two-party duopoly dialing for the same corporate dollars. It is a First Amendment. That's where the political bigotry comes in. But you're right. There are a lot of other things. 300,000 Democrats in Florida in 2000 voted for Bush. You're going to blame the Green Party for that? The Secretary of State and Jeb Bush shenanigans, you know all about that with the ballot. You're going to blame the Green Party for that criminality? That's why I call it political bigotry. Democratic Party, stop scapegoating, look in the mirror, and ask yourself why you cannot landslide the worst, the most ignorant, the most corporate indentured, the cruelest Republican Party in history. Look in the mirror.
Now, look in the mirror. Think about what he just said. I mean, I don't care if you hate Ralph Nader. I don't care if you still believe that he cost Gore the election. Again, I repeat, Ralph Nader didn't cost Gore the election. I bought into that for a long time as well. That's not what cost the election. What caused the election is us keeping our heads in the sand. You have to take your heads out of the sand. You have to be honest with oneself. If you're going to win, if you're going to come out there and do what's necessary to win, you have to take your head out of the sand. You can't lie to yourself. Lying to yourself is what create losers. You know what Republicans don't do? They lie to themselves in a different kind of a way. They lie to themselves in saying, we're going to do all that is necessary, good or bad, to win. But guess what? We're good. We're okay. We're moral. But we'll do whatever it takes to win. Democrats? Oh, well, we can't do that because, well, come on. Come on. If you want to win so that your policies can be effective to support the American people who are desperate for policies that support them, you have to get engaged. You don't only have to get engaged, but you have to get out there and you have to be real. You have to be real. Folks, the telephone number is 646-716-5812. I'll take your calls. Actually, I'm going to do the blog of the week now, but if necessary, I'll break that to take your calls because I want to hear from you, not only in words that I see that's filling up inside of the message board under the video on Facebook Live. I'd love to hear from you both from Blog Talk Radio as well, of Corporate USA. But folks, it is very important. It is very important that we heed this warning. But folks, you know what time it is, and this is a blog that is very important as well. Yesterday, I kind of went overdue at KPFT where I kept, I spoke for a long time. I'm probably going to do the same again here today. But again, you can break me if you call in by phone. Again, that number is 646-716-5812. Slowly, 646-716-5812. But we need to hear from you however we hear from you. And of course, you can always email us at info@politicsdoneright.com. That's info@politicsdoneright.com. Please go ahead and like our page on Facebook, which is Politics Done Right with Egberto Willies. That's a Facebook page for our show. Likewise, please go ahead and like our Twitter or follow us on Twitter, which is Egberto Willies, EGBERTO WILLIES. And let's get this stuff going. But folks, do you know what time it is?
It's time for the weekly blog post.
Okay, the title of the blog is Trump and the Republicans are on the rise, and we warned about it. And this is not a blog that I wrote today. This is not a blog that I wrote after the generic poll came into existence, or rather, the generic poll came to a virtual tie, which means the Republicans and the Democrats are tied in the generic poll. According to CNN, it's within the margin of error. I wrote this on February 14th, on Valentine's Day. And I also had it, if I recalled correctly, I'm not sure, but if I recall, I was slaughtered not only at my site, but at Daily Kos. Here's the deal. Every time I warned about Republicans poised to make a comeback, many said I was either a pessimist, a person unable to read the real sentiment of the country, or I was creating disagreement among Democrats. In other words, if I am begging Democrats, one, to be Democrats, to be progressive Democrats that our platform claims we are, if I tell you and that the waves, the winds should be at our backs, but instead we're going into a headwind, I'm trying to divide folks or divide the party? No. I am trying to wake up the party, at the same time encourage the base to say, look, whether the party is doing what it needs to do or not, the base we can execute. All those activists that are running around Houston, running around Dallas, running around Austin, San Antonio, Miami, New York, Berkeley, all these places. Guys, redouble your efforts, because you apparently are not going to get any help. You go out there and be the fishers of men that you must be for us to really take over. Forget this stuff right now. It's not about party. It's about winning. It's about progressives winning. No, I feared that Democrats thought they were going to coast to victory. I knew that, unseen to most, the dollars of the plutocracy was at work distributing false narratives directly to Americans while circumventing the noise on cable news. You see, these guys operate in churches, community events, and many other local venues. I see it firsthand here in my very conservative community, Kingwood, Texas. So while the Democratic Party establishment continue to operate like a closed cabal, unable to change with the times, a party, the Republican Party, with terrible policies, can continue to construct wins. I wrote the piece, Democrats Pulling Defeat Out of a Sure Win. No blue wave unless... 3 dots. And this is what I said in that particular article. If Democrats are to revive the possibility of a blue wave, the time is running out, as Republicans are framing a better message, even if built on lies. They are even out messaging Democrats on the current shutdown of a government that they control totally. I got a lot of flack for that piece. I followed up with, are Democrats once again pulling defeat from the what should be a sure victory? I pointed out that, and I read as follows. The right wing is in control of this country, not because they support values most Americans want, but because of the semblance of what Americans think they need, a semblance of strength. It does not take a lot of money to get a message and the proper narrative to the masses. So that isn't the problem. It takes vision. Democrats should leverage independent media, alternative media, social media, and other avenues to reach people, but they don't. They are stuck with the same high-priced consultants that have lost elections state by state and federally. We've lost everything. We control very few states in as much as we have the policies people want. Anyone watching network TV likely saw ads promoting the success of the tax cut scam, and they're still running them. Oh, the tax cut scam was successful. Our unemployment rate is at records low 3.9%. Of course, the rates aren't going up. And of course, that drop came because people stopped looking as well. They likely saw ads of Trump economic success, even though they pale next to Obama's. And today on TV, on Morning Joe, the charts came out. I don't remember the name of the economist who showed the charts. And he showed the charts that shows everything that Trump's doing economically is lagging far behind what was done under the Obama administration. Not that I'm a fan of what Obama did from an economic standpoint, because I thought a lot more could be done, but a lot of it wasn't done because of not specifically Obama, but because of Democratic timidity when they were in full control. I mean, I want to break here a second. When I talk about Democratic timidity, I want to show you the difference in how they operate. The Democrats had a complete control of the government in not 2006, but in 2008, meaning 2009, 2010. Complete control of the Senate. They had a veto-proof, or rather a filibuster-proof Senate. Okay? And they were timid to buck the system when they came out with the stimulus. The stimulus should have been a lot larger, which would have made, in as much as we've been recovering for years and the economy has been on an ascent for years, longer than any other economy, it has been slow. However, it also has been one of the slowest recovery from such a dip under Obama. One of the slowest recovery, even though it was continuously going up. But what it needed based on the level of drop that we had in the economy, and economist Stiglitz would tell you that, economist Richard Wolff would tell you that, what we needed was a huge stimulus, much more than the $700-800 billion stimulus that we got. And that would have ramped us through the roof, and then the tax base would have come back from all of that economic activity. You get more money spending than tax cutting. And even that stimulus bill had too much tax cut in there instead of just outright spending. We could have used that tax cut, that stimulus package, and rebuild our infrastructure. And that would have regenerated an economy like no other. But, and by the way, Democrats were in full control. Democrats had a veto-proof Senate. We could have laid the groundwork for the biggest economic comeback, which meant 2010. The losses in 2010 would have been mitigated by having a robust economy. Likewise, if we had gotten and passed the public option, which would have turned Obamacare eventually into a single-payer Medicare for all type system, because you can't have those public options compete with regular insurance, because there's no advertising costs, no overhead. It would have been cheap. But no, they didn't do it. What this tells you is that, like I constantly talk about the rails. The Democratic establishment and the Republican establishment. Remember Lieberman? Lieberman is the one that says absolutely no public option. That was a Republican move. Republican light move. And that is what we do. And then folks get mad if you criticize the Democrats that do that. The Democrats that become Republican light, or the Democrats that are Republican light, is you're bashing the net. You're bashing the party. No, you're not. You're Tea Partying, effectively Tea Partying your party. The Tea Party, look what they did to the Republicans. They turned them into wackos, right? We could turn, the progressives could turn the Democrats into egalitarian intellects who move the country forward. That is what we want to do. Let me continue with the blog. Anyone watching network TV likely saw ads promoting the successes of the tax cut scam. They likely saw ads of Trump economic success, even though they pale next to Obama's. Active engagement and repetition of these narratives are seeds and fertilizer that blossom at election time, and we are living with one side who is much better political former than the other. Remember when I wrote this? What I said, in effect, what I'm saying there, is that what the Republicans were going to be doing over time is seeding the market. They're going to be farmers. They're seeding them with the message, things are going well. The tax cut scam is working. Look at the amount of jobs. And they're out there putting commercials out all over the country. And it's not only on TV. It's not only on the internet. It's also in churches. It's also in civic groups. It's also the Chamber of Commerce as they do things around the country, all these places. So now, where you had people that were scared and knowing that the country is really falling apart, they're buying into this positive message. And have you seen anything from the Democrats that tells you exactly the bad things that are happening in this country right now, what to expect in October? No, you don't. So while you have the good news coming from Republicans that really isn't good news but fake news, the Democrats are virtually silent. They are virtually silent. Folks, if you're just coming on to the show, please do remember to share this show right away on your Facebook wall, your Facebook page. Let's keep these numbers up. Let's make sure that people are hearing this, because they have to, if the progressives are to make that surge. But anyway, going back to the topic, you don't see a Democratic message out there. You don't. You absolutely don't see a Democratic message. Earlier, in one of the shows earlier, I gave the 5 points that I think the 5 issues Democrats should be running on. And if I don't get a call after this, I'll go ahead and repeat those 5 issues that Democrats should be running on. And they should have their web commercials. They should have all these things that Republicans are doing right now to give that good message. The employment rate is 3.9%. Oh, the GDP is growing. Oh, and all of that. There should be a counterbalance, folks. In October, you're going to be stunned when you see healthcare reform. Folks, all of this economic activity that your president is talking about is coming with stagnant wages. Have you got a raise lately? Do you see an increase in your particular income? No, you don't. You know why you don't? All the tax break is going back to the shareholders, folks. They should be telling them. You remember that the company said if we allow them to bring back their money at a low tax rate, they would invest it into the economy. Guess what they did, folks? They bought back their stocks. Their stock price rise, and as their stock price rised, they didn't give it back to the people. No, they didn't. They didn't. They stole it, folks. There's no counter message. So in a vacuum, remember I wrote this in February 24th. February 14th. That message, it is clear. The Republican message, even as evil, as ignorant, as corrupt as they are, the message is working, because they are not trying to change any individual thing. They're just seeding. It's like broadcasting seeds, and you know what? Some of the seeds are going to be on fertile land, and for the limited brains of many, those seeds are going to fall and people are just going to accept it. And where do you see the results of those seeds? In the polls. And that's what the CNN poll said. Those seeds are bearing fruit now. Okay. Well, one of the leading Democratic super PACs is sounding the alarm. McClatchy reports the following. A leading Democratic group, Priorities USA, is warning party leaders they could squander a strong political climate in 2018 if they don't start to emphasize pocketbook issues over loose and unfocused critiques of Donald Trump. According to the internal polling by Super PAC, President Trump's approval rating climbed to 44% in the first week of February compared to 53% who disapproved. That mirrors Trump's improving position on public polls. In November, the same survey found his approval rating at 40%, with 54% disapproving. The group's survey also showed the Democratic Party's generic ballot advantage had shrunk from 46 to 42% for Republicans. Think about that. The memo says that a broad range of metrics show the political climate is still favorable for Democrats, but it also makes an unambiguous diagnosis for Trump's recent rise. Democrats this year have stopped focusing on economic and health care issues, topics that demonstrably hurt his approval during his first year in office. Priorities polling found that while people in November readily mentioned Trump's health care and tax reform measures, by February they were instead more cognizant of his tweets. The president is tweeting America to death, and they're buying it. Democrats, the memo said, must not allow themselves to be sidetracked and distracted by Trump's latest tweets. While still on track for a successful November, the extent of Democratic gains will be blunted if Democrats do not re-engage more aggressively in speaking to the economic and health care priorities of voters, it said. There is still time, folks. There is still time to win back Americans to ensure a blue wave. It will require dumping the Democratic way of doing business and learning how to effect benign political guerrilla tactics. Check out my post. It's called 2 CNN Stories that show how the 2018 blue wave could turn into a ripple. This is no joke. This is absolutely no joke. And that Ralph, for those that are just showing up right now, what I'm going to do again is show you the video of what Ralph Nader had to say, because we have a whole lot of newcomers here. So what I'm going to do, and by the way, for those of you that are just getting here, please do remember to go to your wall, to just go ahead and click a share on this baby and share it to your wall, share it to your page, share it to your everything, because that is how we're going to make a difference. And here it is.
I think the Democrat Party should take the third-party agenda away from it. They should have a living wage, it's crack down on corporate crime, full Medicare for all. What do they expect to do? They have the third party supposed to help them? A democracy is only democracy if it has competitive elections, contested election, not a two-party duopoly dialing for the same corporate dollars. It is a First Amendment. That's where the political bigotry comes in. But you're right. There are a lot of other things. 300,000 Democrats in Florida in 2000 voted for Bush. You're going to blame the Green Party for that? The Secretary of State and Jeb Bush shenanigans, you know all about that with the ballot. You're going to blame the Green Party for that criminality? That's why I call it political bigotry. Democratic Party, stop scapegoating, look in the mirror, and ask yourself why you cannot landslide the worst, the most ignorant, the most corporate indentured, the cruelest Republican Party in history. Look in the mirror. I think the Democrat Party should take the third.
Now, that says it all. I mean, you can hate Ralph Nader. You can continue to believe that he cost Gore the election. He didn't. But if you want to continue to believe that, that is your choice. Our problem, those Democrats, not progressive, Democrats' problem have constantly been the inability to actually take the bull by the horns and run with it. And the reason why, you know, there are a lot of times, and I said this on KPFT yesterday, and I want to repeat it today. A lot of people tend to believe that it's just that Democrats are inept at politicking. That's not the case. The case is that the two establishments are too close together. The two establishments believe in the same thing. One is just there's a track that the train rides on. One is a right track. One is the left track. The Democratic establishment is the left track. The Republican establishment is the right track. What is the one thing we know about the track? The track, both of them move in the same direction. And that is what's happening. We have a Democratic Party who is simply moving a little bit left, but in whatever direction the Republicans take them. So if the trains start to turn, guess who's turning with them? The Democratic Party. What we need What we need, as I said yesterday, is a derailment. One of my callers yesterday said, don't call it a derailment. We don't have healthcare to fix the people who are no. I still call it a derailment. What we need is a divergence. If we are going to make a change, America has to see that we're ready to change direction. We're ready to move it to the left side. We are ready to move it to people. We're ready to move it to part where people rule, where people come first. That is where we want to move the party. We have to move the party to support the people. And that's what we're not doing right now. Okay, we're in the middle of the show, and I need to go for my 1-minute pitch again, folks. So bear with me. Don't leave me. Stay with me. Please share this program. It's so important. Folks, this is Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Willies, your host, folks. I want to remind you, folks, that, look, Politics Done Right is a progressive, independent show owned by nobody else but you. And you have a voice here. If you want to call into the show, you can call into the show and change the topic. It is your show that you can call into and decide what you want to talk about. There are many times people have called this show and changed the subject because they felt there's another subject more important on that particular day. You're noting that we do this show 5 days a week. And they said, many have called in and changed the subject. And like I said, it's your show. Most shows, you don't get an option to decide what the show is going to be about. You don't get bi-directional input on the show. You don't get to give your input and let others see what your input is. This is your show, and that's what you get. And that's what we intend to continue. That's the democratic way. So what I ask of those of you, call 646-716-5812 if you want to change the subject, if you want to add your 2 cents so that others hear it. Because after this show airs, the podcast, the vlogcast will be all over the place, from iTunes to TuneIn to PlayWire, everywhere. And it does have a whole lot of visibility that it gets. If you want to be a part of it and if you want to make a difference, you can call in as well. But specifically to keep this show going, to ensure that we can continue these mixers and the internet type service that's required and going to Netroots and going to Washington, D.C. and all of that to cover these different issues, we need your support. Politics Done Right. So if you go to patreon.com/politicsdoneright, you can become a subscriber for a cup of coffee. What we need hundreds of subscribers willing to give us a cup of coffee, and that's how we do it. We're not the big guys out there that are looking for these big donations and all of that. No, we just want to be able to get a few cups of coffee so that we can go ahead and continue to bring this to you and continue to make this your show, one that you can control, one that you can change the subject, one that you can bring new items to. In fact, if you listened to the show yesterday, we had great callers who brought additional news to the story, to the show as well. So please go ahead and go to patreon.com/politicsdoneright. That is patreon.com/politicsdoneright. Now I'm going to get back to talking about what is a very important part of this show here. And that is, folks, we have to try to get the Democratic Party to do the right thing. What I try to explain to folks right now is that the Democratic establishment is too darn close to the Republican establishment, and they don't want to do the things that are generally corporations don't want. They don't want single payer Medicare for all. You know why? Because that means that insurance companies for basic health insurance will disappear. Now they can still create a product. That's what they like to call it. They can still create an insurance product for people who want esoteric services. Nobody's going to stop them from doing that. Who wants to pay for it? If it's a good product, people would buy it, right? Right now, people buy insurance because they have to, and they have to pay whatever price the charlatans say that they have to pay. If you have a single payer Medicare for all system where we all pay taxes and we all have health care, there's no middleman, and it's very cheap, 3% as opposed to 20-something% or more overhead, meaning more money is there to go into your health care. They don't want that. They don't want family leave. And I'm talking about Democrats as well, the Democratic establishment. They don't want real family leave like you have in France. They don't want forcing folks to have real vacation no matter where you work. Paid vacations, that is. They don't want to change society so that they say, if you want a business, these are the responsibilities of having a business. A responsibility of having a business is to provide X, Y, and Z. A responsibility of having a good government is to have X, Y, and Z. If those rules are played nationally, they can't talk about, well, somebody else would have an advantage. No, they won't. Look, France is doing very good business with the United States. Germany is the number one exporter. Germany has a surplus. I mean, Germany has a surplus with us. Their manufacturing is great. Their unions have a seat at the table. The unions in Germany have a seat on the table with the corporations. Okay? They have all these policies out there that make their people more happy, that make their people have a better life, a less stressful life. Yeah, there are some crazy things happening in Europe with the supremacists and caused by immigration and the destabilization that's occurring because of this influx of people caused by wars that we create. And now we don't want to accept those people from the refugees from wars that we create. So what I'm saying is Democrats are usurping their responsibilities and in the process leaving us into a position where we can start losing the election that should be a landslide, a progressive landslide. And you know why? Because they're doing everything to prevent progressives from winning. I brought you Laura Mosier from Houston. I brought you Levi Tillerman from Colorado. We're the party. In the case of Laura, the DCCC is smearing her to kingdom come. They were even on MSNBC 2 days ago smearing her. The Chronicle carried the article smearing her. And Levi, Steny Hoyer, the number 2 Democrat, is telling him, get out of the race. We want this lawyer to be the representative of your district. Not the people going to decide. Steny Hoyer, the Democratic Party, is going to tell you that you are going to get an attorney that defends payday loan folk. Payday loan folk is the attorney they want to replace you. So here's a similarity, okay? Lizzie, I don't remember her last name, is running against Laura Mosier. Okay? Lizzie is a good person. I've interviewed Lizzie, or rather, I was the moderator of a panel that Lizzie was on. She's a nice person. But Lizzie works for a law firm that goes out there and is anti-union. What do you think happens if the party is pushing Lizzie as the candidate they want? What do you think happens there? Let me tell you what happens there. It demoralizes the Democratic base. Why? Because it's going to say, oh my God, we thought you were pro-union and that you are going to push a person that works for an institution that's against unions and that's disparage unions at the same time that you're telling smears and about a person because of something she wrote several years ago. Don't you think the Republicans are going to jump all over that? The Republicans are going to jump all over that. The Green Party is going to jump all over that. It is like there's no forward thinking in the Democratic Party, neither locally nor nationally. And then you go ahead and you look at Levi Tillerman. They're asking Levi to step out of the race to have a lawyer who defends payday loaners, who defends sharksters. That's who they want to replace him with. Why would they do that when you can write the ads already? We thought the Democrats were for you, but no. They support payday lenders, the people who are stealing your money, the people who are pilfering those who least can afford. I mean, come on. You want to know why the generic poll is even now? You want to know why? That is not the doing of the Republicans. That is not the doing of Ralph Nader. That is not the doing of the Republican Party. That is not the doing of anybody else other than the core, the establishment of the party. You want to keep people happy? You want to get people out there voting? Let the Democratic Party come out with an edict. officially going forward, we will be fighting like hell to make sure every American is insured within 2 years. We'll be talking about single-payer Medicare for all. We'll start it by having people buy into Medicare for all. All right, buy into Medicare, and as we progress, as people lose their insurance, they all will be able to buy into Medicare. Wow. What else are they going to get? By the way, we understand that one of the reasons a lot of parents can't work today is that they cannot afford child care. Why? Because a lot of times child care is the price of a mortgage. You have 3 kids, you're paying a big mortgage for child care. We're going to subsidize that so that you become a tax-paying member of society while you work. So what I did a few days ago is I said, look, Republicans' messages are generally very simple. And the reason I'm repeating this, some of you have heard this before, but for those that haven't heard it yet, this is important because this is what I'd like you to have on your tongue to force your politician to say yes to. Bird dog your politicians. Bird dog them. When you go out there, you force them to commit to these 5 values, these 5 issues. Here we go. Are you ready? Here you go. Number 1, Democrats will fix healthcare issues once and for all with a single-payer Medicare for all system. Número 2, Democrats will provide student loan relief. Guess what the Trump administration just did? They just got rid of the organization within the CFPB that protects the sharks from stealing from those kids and adults as well who take out student loans. That is gone. Niet, finito, gone. That is what they're doing. So they're getting ready to pill for you. That's what they're doing. They're getting ready to take your money away. So here we have a counteract to that. Democrats will provide student loan relief. Third, tercero, Democrats will provide need-based, subsidized child care for anyone who wants to work. That's what we were just talking about. Allow folks to go to work. Give them dignity because they know going forward, guess what? I can work and my kid is going to have it's going to have child care. And guess what that does as well? Because there are so many more kids that are going to need child care, it's going to increase the economy. Why? Because now they're going to have to employ more child care folk. Those people who are now employed as child care folk are going to spend money, and that's going to increase the economy again. All these things are intertwined, and there's so much. If Democrats just accept progressive policies and not just try to say them to placate progressive, come on. The reality is most Americans want the policies. Yesterday I read the article that I'm coming out on the front page of that I wrote for the front page on the Daily Coast on Sunday is going to show you all those stats. The reality is most people want these progressive items that I'm mentioning. Other one, number 4, el cuarto. Democrats will decriminalize marijuana and treat drug use as the disease that it is. And the other thing they have to work to is get all those folk that are in jail for marijuana who are not violent out of jail. You know why they don't want to do that? Because a lot of jailers are private, and they want their money. They want your tax dollars to put away somebody who smoked a joint. That's what they want. Folks, if you're just joining us, please remember to share this on your wall. It's so important. This is important messaging here that you can use as well. Okay, número 5. Democrats will make the criminal justice system live up to the justice blind motto. That one, I cloaked that into a standard message. It has a lot of permutations based on the community that you're in. And I don't have to expand on that. It goes without saying. Anyhow, my dear listeners, I think it is time for me to go ahead and start reading some of your messages. Nobody called in, 646-716-5812. I know most of you like to write on the page, so I guess I'll do what you want. This is your show. Okay, let's see what we have here. But folks, it's so important that you understand what's going on here. It is so very important that you understand what's going on here because, again, some people are going to look at my message and they're going to say, "Oh, there you go, dogging the party," and it's not the party. It's not the party dogging, or rather, it's not the people. It's not Democrats I'm dogging. It's not the incompetence of the party I am dogging. It's the willful desire of the establishment party to maintain the status quo. That is what we're dogging. And you, those that are listening, need to go to your own to your own county party, to your own district party, and all of these guys, and force these guys into action. Here in Houston, I tell you what we're doing. When we have groups like Indivisible and Swing Left and Pantsuit Republics, these folks are on the ground. These folks are out there doing their jobs. These guys are doing their jobs irrespective of the directive of the parties. And that is what they have to do. They're working with the school board. They're doing a whole lot of stuff. They're letting people see progressives out there working, and they're trying to gather progressives to get to go out there and do what they have to do. Anyway, going to the site now to see your wonderful comments, my friends. Let's go ahead and start with those. It's coming up now. René Perpetu. Okay, that is a conversation that's occurring there. I want to see if there's anything that's directed towards the program proper. The problem is that both parties are corporatist entities. You're right, René Perpetua, you're right. They're both corporate entities, not the people. In fact, there's an intersectionality between the base Republican Party and the base Democratic Party, and that's where the intersectionality is, the abhorrent of the corporate structure or the corporatocracy. They both share that. I have gotten not promises, but people who told me already that they're going to vote Democratic. I have some Republicans here in Kingwood who said they're voting Democratic this year because of that exact thing. They do believe that the Democrats are corporatists as well, the Democratic Party, that is, but they do understand that the base, the progressive base, those are the things that they follow. Let's see, Michael, Patrick, you're talking. Let's see. I'm just going to be addressing things that are addressing me proper, because I see that there's some conversation occurring within the scale itself. Joe Manchin's daughter, a so-called Democrat senator, jacked up prices of EpiPens, which is a last resort medicine. You are so right, Patrick, and that's the point that I'm trying to make. You are right, Mr. Evans. You're right. That's his daughter. And that Democrats didn't come out and slaughter that and taken that issue away. It's amazing. That was their opportunity to show we are not, in as much as we have corporatist Democrats, we're going to distance ourselves from that. Look, daughter of Joe Manchin, you were wrong. Okay, let's see. Jay Chatty. Fear-mongering proven way to control people. We all need to remember we're humans with a huge capacity for compassion. The ruling elite wants us to stay separate by thinking we are Republicans or Democrats. You're absolutely right. Now, right now, if you take a look at what I do with the Coffee Party USA, that is exactly the problem that we're trying to tackle. That is bringing these folks together and realizing that they have more in common than not alike. And that's why I just about live in my Starbucks, my local Starbucks here. And just today I had a conversation with a Trumpster, and we're going to continue talking. And you know what? When he left there, he realized that he saw I had on this progressive T-shirt on. And you could see he kept on looking at me as I was blogging, and he kept on looking, and I could see him through the side of my eyes constantly looking at me. But he finally couldn't hold back anymore, and he said, "What exactly are you trying to say with that T-shirt?" And we got into a long, pleasant, civil conversation, and believe it or not, we agreed on most things. It's amazing, but not surprising. Nothing that I didn't know. We agreed on most things. And then I looked at him and I said, it's a white guy that was out there. And I looked at him and I said, that is one deficiency we have in the Democratic Party. And that is a whole lot of white guys are made to feel like somehow they don't belong in that party. And they're running away. And there's this nativist feeling that he has. And he's, I'm not nativist and I'm not this and that. And I said, well, look, prove your point and go ahead and join the progressive side of the aisle. And start, because you are already a progressive. The only reason you're doing what you're doing is for some other reason, but you listen to the things that we're talking about, you're progressive. Anyhow, René Perpetua, insurance companies' profit should not be part of healthcare equation. Exactly. What I try to explain to people, René, and you're absolutely right, is that in insurance, profit becomes an expense because that is monies that have to be paid out that you paid in that isn't going to health care. healthcare is a different animal from basic products, and that's what people don't know. Michael Rudnin says, Egberto single payer and a jobs guarantee while promoting this infrastructure repair will ensure a democratic victory. Of course, Michael, you're absolutely right. Isn't that what I also said when we had a timid Democratic Party who controlled everything, came out with a small, relatively small stimulus? That's exactly what I was trying to make the point there. Okay, people are on welfare because we do not provide jobs for them. The money all goes back to the 1%. And, that is something that we have to explain to people, René Perpetua. The reason why is this. There are people at Walmart, there are people at Amazon, companies that are making billions in profits, but that these profits are not going back to its people. And what does that mean? A lot of these people are also on welfare. So we are subsidizing Walmart and Amazon because they don't pay their employees a livable wage. If the entire country was demanded to pay a living wage, the people will say, oh, well, pancakes would be higher. Yeah, a few cents higher. Spam will be higher. Yeah, a few cents higher. Bread will be higher. Yeah, a few cents higher. But the turnover of the money from people getting more cash in their pockets would more than mitigate that static increase in prices. In other words, let's say an egg increases by a penny, right? That's a permanent penny. But now, because that egg is increased by a penny, that person that made $9 an hour can make $15 an hour now because of that small increase in the price of the product. When that person spends that extra $5 or $6 and to buy to the baker, and when that baker takes that $6 and buy more flour and more butter and more yeast and all of that, the multiplicative effect of that money is so large. Because remember, if that money is not given to the employee as even if there's a small rise in price, that money goes into the hands of the shareholder. And in the hands of the shareholder, it's not spent because the shareholders in general have a lot of money. So what they're going to do is invest that elsewhere. And America is not a very good place to invest right now, so they invest it overseas. And who sees the profits? The American stockholder, and maybe they create a few jobs elsewhere. So, people have to understand how things work. Patrick Evans, the argument that government will make healthcare more expensive and scarce is crazy. Exactly. The opponents argue that the free market will regulate itself and drive down prices, but have had none of that here. It's more expensive than most developed countries around, not most, all developed countries around the world. The prices will not go down in peak capitalism because healthcare execs realize people value their family members' life more than anything, especially when the care exists. So true. All right, 75% of this is not Michael Rudnin. 75% of the people want the public option. Give the public option to the people. A Medicare for all system with a private insurance backup. They might just switch over from the private system. Of course they will, because the private system eventually cannot compete. It's not, again, healthcare does not belong in the capitalist system, in the free market system. Okay, René Perpetua. Frankly, Egberto, I am flabbergasted by most people's lack of understanding of how government works. And René, that is why we are here. And we don't need to be flabbergasted. We just need to help. We need to be compassionate, and we need to help folks, because all the influences are for people not to get educated. That's what we preach. Don't educate yourself. Let us just tell you what to do. Just let us tell you what to do. Okay, I'm running to the end of the show right now. Let me see if there's anything. I paid dollars for 50 years. What is wrong with you? Okay, let's continue. We need to provide education that does not bankrupt students. Absolutely, Renee. We need to provide healthcare. You're right, Renee. No, he is saying we need to pay people a living wage. Absolutely so. I'm not saying we need to be dependent, Mr. Cisak. I love you, Michael Cisak. I love you, brother. I'm going to yet turn you into progressive, because progressivism is even going to help you, my dear friend. Progressivism is even going to help you. We're at the end of the show, folks, so it's time for me to make my last pitch. The first thing I want to ask you guys is, even after the show, please go ahead and share this program. Please share this show. Please let people help your friends help themselves by voting correctly. Help your friends make the right vote, please. Egberto, your math skills are really bad. This is Mike Cizek. He says, Egberto, your math skills are really bad. Employee costs are usually around 40% of total business expenses. Brother, it all depends on who you work for, but 40% is not the case. It really is not the case. Look it up. You may have some companies that is the case, and some companies may even be higher. But in the aggregate, that is not the case. And in fact, it showed that at Walmart, they could increase their prices by less than 3% to give a living wage. Folks, my name is Egberto Willies. Where did that come from? I'm not sure where that came from. But anyhow, folks, my name is Egberto Willies. Please do remember that this is a political show. This show is Politics Done Right, and we need your assistance to keep on going. So we ask you to become a subscriber. I don't ask for anything I don't do. Just to let you know who I subscribe to. I subscribe to Op-Ed News, a liberal rag, a liberal news site. I also subscribe to Daily Coast, which I also write for on the front page. And by the way, I write for Op-Ed News as well. I also subscribe to the Democratic Underground. The Democratic Underground, good place where you can get all your liberal information that you have that's coming out and in real time. A whole lot of people just post like crazy. Great place, the Democratic Underground. I am also a subscriber of the Coffee Party USA. That's coffeepartyusa.com. Good people to subscribe to as well. I subscribe to, I don't know, there are about 10 different progressive organizations that I subscribe to. I think once I had one conservative one. I don't remember which one was that. But I follow exactly what I say I do. I'm asking you to do. So what I'm asking you to do as well, subscribe to Politics Done Right. If you are watching this on the Facebook Live page, there's a link directly to our Patreon page. It is patreon.com/Politics Done Right. That is patreon.com/Politics Done Right. It is so important for us to keep this going. I need hundreds. We are now nowhere close to the amount that we need to keep this viable, but we press on. We press on because we know that we have to get the job done. Losing is not an option. Have a wonderful day. This is Politics Done Right. And I am, guess what? I am out.
Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is the progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. Remember, you can also send me a tweet to EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right.
1, 2, 3, 4.